A popular Prime Minister, Mr. Rajiv Gandhi, late Rajiv Gandhi. I come from Bihar. The fodder scam and the bitumen scam I exposed in the PIL. And the consequences today are felt even today. The politician is in question, could not stand up, and the whole development plank was completely appropriated against him. Therefore, it's still corruption, public accountability has its own significance in the political discourse of the country.
Okay, so that's your view, but you still haven't given me a solution. I want a solution. Manish Tiwari, what is the solution? You've got A. Raja, who's an ally of the DMK. Because he's an ally, you don't want to take him on. You're not willing to take on an A. Raja because he's an ally. You take on an Ashok Chavan, but you won't take on your union ministers. The point is, how do I know that the Congress is willing to run a sustained campaign against corruption? You can't have a la carte corruption. That corruption of an Ashok Chavan will result in his resignation, but a corruption of an A. Raja will not result in his resignation because he's a trusted ally of the DMK.
Rajdeep, the first request I'd like to make is that please keep the program balanced in terms of the time that you give to different people.
Yes.
The second thing which I would like to very respectfully submit is that the Congress has taken action against Mr. Ashok Chavan on the basis of public perception. May I ask Mr. Ravi Shankar Prasad, would they do the same thing with Mr. Sancheti, who is a very, very close ally, compatriot, comrade in arms of Mr. Nitin Gadkari, their president, and has a flat in the other society? Will they take action against Mr. Sudhanshu Mittal, who was a member of their national executive, whom very conveniently Mr. Nitin Gadkari threw into the dustbin, saying Sudhendu Kulkarni or whatever his name is, Sudhanshu Mittal, who is he? The third thing I would like to tell Mr. Ravi Shankar Prasad is please do not suffer from selective amnesia. When you refer to corruption, please also refer to Mr. Bangaru Lakshman. Please also refer to Mr. George Fernandes and the coffin scandal. So therefore, do not suffer from selective amnesia. I don't think that's the way to conduct the debate. And the last thing I would like to ask Mr. Ravi Shankar Prasad, if he's there and if he's not abandoned and gone to some other channel, you see the Supreme Court in the Jain Hawala case in 1997-98 struck down the single directive. The single directive entailed that you have to take permission from the government before you prosecute any bureaucrat, because you raise the issue of bureaucrats. That's why I'm pointing it out.
Right.
When Mr. Ravi Shankar Prasad was the law minister in 2002-2003, I think along with his senior colleague Mr. Arun Jaitley, they reinstated the single directive in the CBC Act. I would like to ask Mr. Ravi Shankar Prasad, since he was personally in charge of that ministry, or maybe he wasn't at that point in time, but his senior colleague Mr. Arun Jaitley was, what was the compelling compulsion of reinstating the single directive after the Supreme Court had struck it down in the Jain Hawala case? So therefore, if you want to fight corruption and you want to be serious about the issue, I think the first thing that you need to do is introspect, and then yes, realize that this is a challenge which needs to be surmounted collectively, not by pointing fingers at each other. Then sit down and see what amendments can be made to the Prevention of Corruption Act, what amendments will need to be made to other laws. What Suhel said, can we set up fast-track courts in order to see that those who are guilty are brought to justice quickly?
But 1 minute, Kumar Ketkar, do you believe that the politicians are really ready to offer any of those solutions? Do you really believe that the politicians will sit down together and evolve a political consensus on the Lokpal, a bill which has been pending for 30 years, to have some kind of an anti-corruption authority in this country?